Welcome back, YouTube. We're doing our U.S. news. Syria is back in the news. Pretty nasty shit. U.S. military carries out airstrikes in Syria after drone attacks kill American contractor. So I think I have the video, showing these airstrikes. Boy, all of a sudden we don't have that high quality video. Fuck out of here, bitch. Literally have a name called Really Unfriendly. Basically, I am toxic. Might as well have a name that says, please ban me immediately. Fuck out of here. I gotta respect those people. I gotta take those people seriously. Oh, I'm censoring those people. Slob on the motherfucking corn on the cob. Syria is a tinderbox ready to ignite. Seemingly. Is this a football player? Is he still doing Good Morning America? Isn't this Michael Vick? Is this a football guy? Yeah. Sure, buddy. Sure. We're not doing Tucker Carlson anymore. Move the fuck on. All right? Fuck out of here. Backing up Tucker Carlson. Embarrassing. The people backing up Tucker Carlson know exactly what his goals are. They think it's fucking funny. Those are the people that vote Trump because it's funny. Fascism's kind of neat.
The news breaking overnight. The U.S. firing airstrikes into Syria, retaliating for a deadly drone attack that killed an American contractor and injured 6 others. ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz has the latest. Good morning, Martha.
You know what? Good for the football guy, man. You got to give him props. He's trying to, I mean, it's Good Morning America. You know, it's one thing, but good for him, man.
Good morning, Michael. This morning, retaliation.
I remember this woman almost going into tears, I think, when Bernie had that winning streak, you know, that little winning streak when people thought that maybe Bernie could win. This woman almost went into tears at the idea.
Good morning, Michael. This morning, retaliation. The U.S. launching airstrikes targeting Iranian-backed groups in Syria who they say are responsible for a series of attacks against American forces. This latest, a drone strike on a maintenance facility in northeast Syria, leaving that American contractor dead, another one injured, along with 5 American service members wounded. There are some 900 American forces in Syria as part of a counter-ISIS force. They include Special Operations Forces, active duty, National Guard, and those contractors who are a vital part of the mission. But they're under constant threat. Since early 2021, they have been targeted 78 times by drones and rockets by these proxy groups. And sadly, this...
Maybe we should get the fuck out of there. Crazy! Oh, no! What are you talking about, man? We can't leave. We can't leave. We can't leave. What the fuck are we even doing there? Can someone... I have a rundown, but can someone...
Latest claiming the life of the American, Michael.
Yeah, unfortunately, Martha. And Martha, we're going to turn to North Korea.
Yeah,
They're claiming they've tested an underwater attack drone that they say could create a radioactive tsunami.
Exactly, Michael. The North Koreans have been constantly testing weapons and U.S. resolve. This latest, they say, is a nuclear-capable underwater attack drone they claim can cause a nuclear tsunami to, say, destroy enemy naval strike groups. Experts are a little skeptical at this point, but what is clear is that it is in response to U.S.-South Korean joint military exercises, Michael.
All right, Martha Raddatz, thank you, as always, for your reporting.
Cross it over, guys. Get on the ground.
What's going on?
Get on the ground.
Whoa, what's this? Huh? Huh? What? The police killed him because he stole some sunglasses? That sounds about right. Stop!
This was an execution by Fairfax County police officers.
Get on the ground.
The officers' actions do not meet the expectations of our police department.
Yes, they do. Exactly how you train them. Sorry, yep, it was loud.
I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
Well, you know what?
I've asked that
I find that actually preposterous.
TikTok is the spy in Americans' pockets.
Okay.
Platform
I have a pretty good tweet on this one too.
should be
Now it's too quiet. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Yeah. So I do have. We will be following up on this TikTok stuff. Long story short, you know, I have no doubt that TikTok is doing this. I'm pretty sure the reverse engineering showed specifically that metadata was going to a bunch of weird places. I think that's for sure. But instead of just signaling out TikTok, they should do this for all social media companies. Period. Right? Instead of just banning TikTok, I think they should pass some regulation that affects all social media companies. But they're cowards. You know, they honestly, neoliberals have this weird obsession with banning their way to liberty and freedom. You know, like neoliberals think they found the magic ticket, and that's, you know, banning things and stamping things out and making them go, forcing them to go away. Neoliberals consider that a solution, and honestly, they need to get real with it because, yeah, okay, TikTok gets banned. Okay, bye TikTok. Now we got TokTik. Oh, TokTik, the latest hottest thing that's taking over the nation. TokTik. No, it's just like TikTok but better. You know what I mean? They're terrible. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're 90 motherfucking million years old. No offense to the wise people in the chat. They still got their heads screwed on straight. But they gotta go. They don't understand the tech. They're not like Lenny, who's got his whole fucking studio set up and he's doing great YouTube content. They're not like Lenny. Oh my God, contaminated eye drops.
Definitely check your medicine
What, the
cabinet to see if
subtitles
you
are
might
going
have any of
nuts.
these products that are in your home. And if you do, discard them right away.
Yeah, need to treat the cause, not the symptom. Exactly. But the neoliberals are cowards, and like I said, they honestly feel like banning stuff is a viable, successful strategy in the land of the fucking free. I don't know. That just started playing. I just thought that was interesting. ABC News with some updates and some headlines. But yeah, so apparently, I don't know, shit's cooking up in Syria. We need to get the fuck out of there. Syria is a great example of there's no military solution to this. Need to back out. You know, if you know, because it's like same thing with Ukraine. Like shit or get off the pot. If we're gonna do that military solution, you know, go for it. Make it happen. Achieve your fucking goals and get the fuck out of there. Don't turn it into this, you know, multi-century fucking multi-decade, you know, conflict that just drags on and on and on, just like the military-industrial complex wants it to. Also ban some books. Yeah, do that. We got to talk about the motherfucking Last of Us virus, I guess, now affecting fucking some virus got a subscription to Netflix or HBO or whatever the fuck, and they're like, hey, that's a good idea. So now we have to deal with the motherfucking Last of Us virus. Top comment. Very disturbing. What to know about the potentially deadly fungus spreading in the U.S. We know. Oh, that is funny. Saying that Trump is the fungus. Belarusia. That's in. I assume English is not your first language. For progressists. Progressists. You did it twice. It's not a word, man. Should we play a game with Lance? Everybody, is it time to play a game with Lance? I think it's time to play the game with Lance, don't you? I'm Bowdy. Lance, you seem Bowdy. You stuck around for a little bit. Let's play. Oh, yes. Yes. I think it's time to play the game with your boy Lance. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Here we go. Been a while, folks, but we got ourselves someone bowdy. Everyone, welcome Lance to the show. Are you a dumbass? Let's find out, folks. Wait, it needs to be louder. There it is. Everyone, congratulate Lance on having big enough balls to actually want to go through with this. Last two right-wingers who showed up decided to chicken out and decided they didn't want to play. All right, Lance, so what we're going to do here is we're going to ask you a question, grades 1 through 5. Grades 1 through 5. So first thing we have to do is select your grade. So let's get this cleared out. Throw a D6. Ooh, hardest question, grade 5. I know it says 6, but it doesn't go up to 6. These are questions based off the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader board game. Here we go. Grade 5. My man's got the hardest questions. Here we go. Got them grade 5 questions. And you get... All right, let's see. What is the subject? Throw that Marxist-Leninist question at you. Nope, I do not select the questions beforehand. All right, here we go. Now, Lance, you have 10 seconds to answer this. Do not try to look it up. You have 10 seconds to answer this question. If you do not answer it correctly, because you're a good sport, you will only get timed out. Normally, I'd ban you, but you've been a good sport. But if you win, I don't time you out. All right, here we go. Which are the oldest mountains in North America? Can he do it? Can he do it? Can he do it? What's my answer? What's my answer? Oh. The answer is, of course, as everyone knows, including me. I knew this one absolutely. I absolutely knew this one. It is, of course, the Appalachian Mountains. All right. All right, everyone, congratulate Lance on being our first dumbass in such a long time and such a good sport. Such a good sport. Thank you so much, Lance, for playing, and we will see you in 10 minutes. Thank you so much, Lance. Love to see it. Love to see it.
You dumbass. You're a dumbass. You're an ass.
Better luck next time, Lance. Better luck next time, Lance. All right, let's back to it. U.S. news. So anyway, the Last of Us virus is taking over. There's a deadly fungus, apparently very disturbing. What to know about the potentially deadly fungus spreading in the U.S.? Ooh, let's get a Fox report on the deadly fungus. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can figure out what direction they want to take this news in.
Spreading across the country and has made its way right here to Texas. Now, Fox 51's Lauren Margolis is here to explain. Lauren.
Katie, the fungus is called Candida auris, or C. auris for short. The World Health Organization is calling it an urgent threat. Some doctors assure, though, it's not going to take over the world and kill us all, but it is something we need to be aware of.
It's something we've been tracking actually for probably 10 years.
First detected in the U.S. in 2016, C. auris is now spreading at a more rapid rate. In the past 3 years, infections increased 200%.
The fact that it's increasing in number and also increasing in terms of where we can find it is kind of a combination that's very disturbing.
The fungus spreading to more than half of U.S. states, including Texas, as shown in the CDC tracking map. The problem? It's resistant to common antifungal drugs and seems to be getting more resistant. It's also difficult to identify.
In the past, we've seen resistance very, very occasionally, but that low level of resistance is now tripled, according to the recent report.
Make sure you're washing your hands frequently because doctors say that's going to be your primary defense.
It can be fatal.
C. auris is mainly found in healthcare facilities.
It can make people very sick when it invades through the skin into the bloodstream.
Those with weak immune systems, catheters, or breathing tubes who live in long-term care facilities are most at risk.
I see.
Common symptoms include fever and chills.
Right, so it hangs out in breathing machines and stuff. It fucking that's where it likes to hang out.
Can cause damage in the different organs. It can cause stroke. It can cause eye problems. It can cause blindness.
A lab test is the only way to determine if you have Candida auris. Also has
Great
an
name.
extreme ability to survive on surfaces like walls and bedding. This is an infection that occurs in extremely ill individuals. Healthy people with strong immune systems are significantly less likely to get sick. Live in studio, Lauren Margolis, Fox 51 News.
Fox still has it. Okay, Fox still knows where its priorities are when hiring. Here's what it's like to get intimidated by Amazon when you're trying to exercise your union rights. These three individuals right here, these three individuals are intimidating this employee right here on the right who is trying to legally distribute pro-union material. So we set up a union table in an off-work area. They're not on Amazon property. In an off-work area today, totally legal. Totally legal. The general manager, so they must be close though, right? Because these people were able to just walk over. The general manager, senior ops manager, and head of aviation security threatened to fire us. We won't back down to bullies. We're taking the fight to Amazon HQ in Seattle this Saturday at 11 a.m. PST. Hell yeah, boy. Hell yeah. This is how you get it done. This is how you fight back. This is the only thing they're afraid of. You know, Jeff Bezos is doing everything he can. He's spending every fucking dime to eliminate union rights for just this reason. Howard Schultz as well at Starbucks. Everything he fucking can. He'll install a fascist dictatorship. He'll pay for a fascist government if it means they'll do what he wants for unions. Where are the Pinkertons? Fuck you. But this is what it's like to be intimidated by a billion-dollar organization for exercising your rights in the United States. This is what it looks like. And this is intentional. These guys are lackeys. These guys are lackeys. They're doing it for an extra $5 an hour. They're pathetic.
I'm here to take care of my associates here, right? So I'm here talking only about the off-duty policy here, right?
I mean, you were here to take care of your associates who would support a $30 an hour living wage in this facility, but that's clearly not the case because you'd rather take the time to intimidate coworkers. I mean, people like Jason have been here for 12 plus years who have put in the work here.
So it's each and everyone's right to join, to not join. You have the right to do that, but don't do it during the off-duty policy.
Yeah, what I'm trying to explain to you is that Amazon's off-duty policy, it's an illegal union busing policy that the National Labor Relations Board is ruling against right now. We're not going to leave this break area. That's our right to be here. This is protected concerted activity. If you want to have that discussion with our lawyer, I can put him on the phone and clarify that. But yeah, we don't plan to leave. And I'm not going to accept being threatened with disciplinary action.
So can you just clarify to me whether or not this is a disciplinary conversation?
This is the conversation, general conversation. With
Just a gentle conversation.
Right? So there is no disciplinary. But if this
So
is
it's
not,
Just a gentle reminder that you will lose your job and everyone who supports you will lose their job if you proceed with this union activity. But it's not disciplinary.
Disciplinary
if
conversation.
this is
Okay.
not, if this is
Yeah,
not
no, that's
taken
all I
in the right
needed. That's all I
direction,
needed.
then it will be like disciplinary.
No, that's all I needed. I just needed you to acknowledge whether or not this is a disciplinary conversation and whether or not I would expect to wake up
If
and
it
have
is-
my job be taken from me for
if it-
engaging in union activity.
Exactly. If it is not taken in the right direction for you to
No, I mean, we're
follow.
No, I mean, I told you we would leave. I just needed you to clarify. You were avoiding clarifying whether or not I would be disciplined for this. Yeah, I mean, we're not playing games. We're gonna leave. So it's
Yeah. So they will do everything within their power, right? And they'll break the law as well. They will break the law to destroy worker rights, you know, to not, you know, $30 an hour for, I think that's, you know, for some of these folks, I think that's a fair wage, and Amazon can afford it. It's just so interesting how they all in lockstep they do this. Look at you giving each other a little fist bump there. You know, probably just saying hi to each other, but you know, just, you know, an extra $5 or $10 you can get guys like this that are just totally loyal. They really have no idea the damage that they're doing, the power of what unions have done. To them, it's just, you know, for them it's an equation. The more loyal I am to the company, the more the company rewards me. Doesn't really quite see the forest for the trees. There's always people like this. Always people like that. Interesting tweet here from David Sirota. I thought that was kind of good. Just kind of breaking down all of Biden's failures. And look, the fact is that the right wing, of course, they're not going to fix these problems. They're going to make these problems a lot worse. But what they will do is while they're campaigning, is they will use these failures of the Biden administration, these avoidable failures of the Biden administration, against them. You know, Trump will have a whole binder filled with comebacks, you know, about, you know, Biden will throw some barb over at Trump or DeSantis. It is really looking more like Trump, though. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens next week. But, you know, Biden will throw something his way, and then the right wing will have these zingers, comebacks about all the failures of the Biden administration, knowing full well that they don't even have policies, right? But that doesn't matter. You know, if the soundbite is snappy and quick with it, that's all that matters. Biden signs bill averting rail worker strike despite lack of paid sick days. Biden administration approves huge Alaska oil project. Biden and Becerra let big pharma profiteer off cancer drug. Rejecting cancer patients' petition, the Biden administration refuses to use the power its HHS secretary demanded Trump use. Fuck them. Just cancer patients. Biden approval dips near its lowest point, AP North Pole finds. He's really leaning on the Ukraine stuff. And of course I support Ukraine. I need to repeat this time and time again because it makes me sound like a hater of Ukraine. And that's not the case. But the fact is that your kitchen table, quote unquote kitchen table, the most annoying fucking term that no one has found a better word for, encapsulation of regular America. But these kitchen table issues, Ukraine is not on the table. You know, it's about wages, it's about college, it's about retirement, you know, and those things are just, you know, we don't really have solutions to that from the neoliberals. And the right wing are like, fuck you, enjoy death, grandma. Talk about death panels. Right wingers want to kick old people off their, you know, off whatever financial support they're getting from the government and just, you know, let them die in the fucking ditches. They don't care. And old people continue to vote for them. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, this is that thing on TikTok that I thought was this is a good tweet by a guy named Good Politics Guy. You've probably seen him come up if you're on Twitter. But, you know, this is one of those good tweets. Why are we trying to ban TikTok instead of passing legislation to ban the mining and selling of our data across the board? And it's like, yeah, exactly. They're cowards. They're cowards. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm acknowledging that that TikTok is collecting data, but they're all collecting data. But the difference with TikTok is that it's collecting data for the purposes of the fucking Chinese government to, you know, get a better idea of the U.S. population and, you know, how to better manipulate it. That's the goal. Is, you know, how can we, you know, what's the psyche of America and how can we change its opinion on things so it can vote in our favor. An investigation is happening right now in Canada about election interfering. They're, you know, just like the United States, you know, they're trying as hard as they can to meddle in other elections to that would benefit, you know, in the direction that would benefit their empire. Because the FBI, yeah, exactly. No, I mean, Equaldari, that's it. I mean, the neoliberals are cowards. They're subservient to the military-industrial complex and our intelligence services. They do whatever they're told. There's no pushback. And they would never introduce a bill that would prevent the FBI or even, you know, private industry like Facebook, that's their entire fucking market is user data. They would never, you know, they would never remove those tools from our intelligence services, right? After George Bush, you know, opened up that fucking Pandora's box, we're never going to close that. Oh, all for the safety, for our kids, for terrorism. Yeah, my dick. My dick. Where was the CIA in Las Vegas? You know, when Paddock shot up the fucking country music event. Where was the motherfucking intelligence, huh? Where was the tracking? Because they're not looking for any of that. You know what their primary fucking task is? Looking for seditious activity. Activity that may potentially overthrow or change the American empire. Not closing. I think you're trying to say Guantanamo, not Guatemala. But yeah, I don't give a shit. This woman is truly, this is the template. This is what we wanted AOC to be. This is, you know, this is what the promise of AOC was what this woman and the person that she's partnering with, the two politicians that, see, this is Senator Megan Hunt, who is taking an example from another politician. I got to get her name here, but this is what we wanted from AOC. This is what we wanted from the squad. No, putting the brakes on. We're not normalizing this corruption any further. If whatever power I have, I'm not here to be your buddy. Whatever power I have, I'm going to use it for stopping this. You know, if a portion of my constituency disagrees with me, so be it. If I become unpopular for this, so be it. These are my principles. I'm drawing a line. This is the kind of activity we wanted from AOC and the squad, and we don't get a lot of it. But listen to how things could be if progressives continue to put themselves into office, continue to fight within this system instead of waiting in the fucking wings for some magic revolution. You know, you think if that revolution comes, it's going to be a glorious communist one? It's likely to be an authoritarian fucking nightmare. Oh, yeah, we'll get that Marxism we're all just going to wait around for. Get off your ass.
Throughout the entire course of this negotiation, let's see, today's day 49. So, you know, for the last 49 days of conversation, which with the speaker, with other legislative leaders in this body, has kind of revolved around this bill, frankly. We've made it clear that this is a line in the sand. And people have said, well, what if we go after your bills? What if we put a bunch of bills introduced by progressives up on the agenda? Are you going to filibuster those too? Yeah. Yes, because we're not like you. We have a principle and a value that actually matters that much to us that we're willing to stand up for. This is how much this matters to us. You guys really don't get it. You really don't get that the session is over. And you're asking what precedent this sets. Is everything going to be like this now? Anytime anybody doesn't like a bill, is it going to be like this now? Subsequent motions, taking time, filibustering every bill? No. The fact that you're asking that shows me that you really don't get it, Senator Van Gillern. You really don't get it. You've crossed the line and you've gone too far. This bill harms me in an unforgivable way. And this is a line that you don't cross with me. If you cross it today, you're staying on the other side of it because you have done irreparable harm. And you're doing harm to the body and to Nebraska as well. Don't say hi to me in the hall. Don't ask me how my weekend was. Don't walk by my desk and ask me anything. Don't send me Christmas card. Take me off the list. You don't know me. We have no relationship. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm going to cool down and change my mind, you should believe me. No one in the world holds a grudge like me. And no one in the world cares less about being petty than me.
This is the only part of the speech where I think she slipped up a bit, because not because I disagree with her per se. I agree with the goal and what she's saying here, but I think that she just gave the right wing a little something that they can use.
I don't care. I don't like you.
Dude, now they're going to draw her as childish, petulant, incapable of listening to quote unquote reason.
You want welcome in my space. You aren't a safe person for my child to be around, or any child, frankly. Don't believe me? You should.
So what is all this child endangerment stuff? What argument is she actually trying to make there? So what they're trying to do is they're going against the medical professionals have acknowledged the reality of gender dysmorphia, dysphoria, right? This idea that you can, that trans people exist, that it's a biological reality, and that children, can exhibit, gender dysmorphia, dysphoria. I think I'm saying it's dysphoria, right? And that, sometimes hormonal treatment is necessary depending on what a doctor says, like, according to, all these standards. Dysphoria, thank you. But so what she's trying to say is that there's medical science that supports trans people existing, that gender dysphoria does exist. And what you are doing is legislating children to, have worse medical outcomes in an attempt to kind of force them to be quote unquote normal. When there's medical science to back up the reality of trans people that, and yes, sometimes they can be children. So this is out in Nebraska. And this is just, like what we've seen with all the other right-wing governments, like, in Florida and Texas, passing force, allow, you can force children into conversion programs. You're not allowed to, represent yourself as a different gender in school. If you're a boy, you're not allowed to say you're a girl. You're not allowed to. Like, you'll get in trouble. Your parents will get arrested. Whatever they want to do, right? They're literally using whatever tools they have to legislate, to legislate violence against trans people. So that's what she's talking about in terms of the child endangerment argument. Yeah, it's totally insane. And she is an absolute fucking hero. And like I said, this is the template. Yeah, did she get it? Like I said, she slipped up at the end there, allowing the right wing to frame her as a petulant child. They were going to do it anyway, but now they can just repeat that clip over and over again. So it's okay. She got to tighten it up a bit. No biggie. No biggie. But this is exactly what progressives need to do. Need to get in there and say, yeah, no, you're not normalizing this. Welcome to your new reality, motherfucker. I'm here to fight until I am kicked out of this chamber. That's what the people put me in here for. And yes, these people do exist. There's a heavy contingency of people that disagree with this right-wing dogma against trans identity, and I represent them. And I argue that you do not represent the majority of people in Nebraska or the United States. Because she's right, if she were to say that. The right wing in the United States is a minority. The extreme MAGA right wing amongst the right wing is a minority of a minority. It's exactly why the right wing is doing everything it can to destroy democracy, because it understands that it will be fucking removed. Welcome back, Al Rakabi. Good to see you. They're a vocal minority, but the political party understands its upcoming irrelevance. They understand that they will never win another Democratic contest. They see the writing on the wall. And they're not going to change their policies. Those are set in stone. The policies of fuck you. I got mine. Those are set in stone. So they know that that isn't changing. So the only thing that can change, that has to change, is democracy. And if you don't fucking believe me, stick around. You know, go ahead and leave in a huff right now. Go ahead and leave in a huff right now. But stick the fuck around. Stick the fuck around. And then come on back and tell me I was right in a couple years when you've seen it. When Ron DeSantis or Donald Trump gets into office, and then all of a sudden, he ain't leaving. Another little piece of good news out of the United States. You love to see it. A couple victories from the United States here. But another one from More Perfect Union, by the way. If you don't know what More Perfect Union is, please check out their Twitter and YouTube. They do great content. Really solid stuff. Exactly what the progressive movement needs to be doing instead of stuff like the serfs, where it's just a bunch of liberals jerking each other off. Breaking, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer just signed a repeal of the state's right-to-work bill into law. This is the first repeal of the anti-union and anti-worker legislation anywhere in the U.S. in 60 years. It's a huge victory for working people. I shit on the serfs too much. Really, there are other independent news organizations that are missing the ball more than the serfs. Go subscribe to the serfs. It's a good show. But I got a lot of fucking problems, okay? Got a lot of hate. I'm filled with hate.
That showdown raging in the heartland of the United States. Perhaps no place in America more closely associated with unions than the state of Michigan. And today, thousands of union workers descended on the Capitol to protest a new law they believe could be an ominous signal for unions and worker paychecks everywhere.
Let me tell you, I'm from Michigan. I was born and raised in Michigan. And them boys out there in Michigan are proud of their union jobs. And they're also, it's so weird. They'll be like, you know, these union jobs will be coveted. And if they're right wingers, they'll be right wing pro union guys. But if they don't have a coveted union job, they'll be right wingers who shit on the unions. With that said, Michiganders would sometimes surprise you. And sure, they're conservative, but they will be surprisingly liberal on certain social issues. So a Michigan Republican, it's interesting, right? Because you have these like liberals in charge of these like super right wing constituencies, but that's just how it works out. Michigan politics is kind of interesting.
That was the scene in 2012 as Republicans in Michigan passed a vicious anti-union law known as Right to Work. But now, for the first time in 40 years, Democrats control Michigan's state government. And they have a plan to put power back in the hands of working people.
I think that we've got to use our moment that the voters have given us to help support workers whenever we can. This is our chance to right a wrong.
That's State Senator Darren Camilleri. He's leading the charge to reverse Republicans' power grab for corporations.
Right to work, like you said, a very misleadingly named law, essentially is the right to freeload. Makes it so that workers at unionized companies don't have to pay union dues but still get to benefit from collective bargaining agreements.
It's so shitty.
Unions.
To do what they did 10 years ago behind closed doors was devastating. It,
right, because they found the perfect tool against unions, right? It basically says you get to benefit from all the, benefits of being in a union and you don't need to join it, right? Completely nullifying the power of the union. And people voted for it because it was like, hey, great. My life is going to get better exponentially just like that because all of a sudden I'm going to be treated like a union employee. Fucking scheming, man. They'll do anything to destroy unions.
Struck a chord with working people, and it's something that they've never forgotten.
Led by Governor Rick Snyder, Republicans' goal was to cripple labor unions and make it harder for workers to collectively bargain for better wages, benefits, and working conditions. And it worked. Unions lost 40,000 members in the last 10 years, and wages stagnated.
So it cut the power of working people, right? It showed that corporations have much more say than their workers, and it showed these exact workers all over the state that the government cared more about profits than it did about people.
In a state that was once a stronghold of organized labor, how did corporations gain the upper hand? And can Democrats actually put power back in the hands of working people? We went to Michigan to find out.
I don't know if we'll have time for this whole video, but I do want to see
the current fight over
a couple interviews.
We have to go back to the New Deal.
So in 1935, Congress passed the National Labor Relations Act. And that was the first national labor law that provided protection to workers in the private sector, the right to organize and an obligation on the part of the employer to bargain a collective bargaining agreement. After the law was passed in 1935, elections were held across the country in workplaces for workers to choose a union, and unions were winning these elections at an extremely high rate, nearly 100% of the time.
That's Robert Bruno, a professor of labor
can't have
history
that.
at the University
That's way
of
too much
Illinois.
power in the hands of
And
the
then
people.
in the 1940s, the labor movement began to expand its organizing into the South, and they were making significant gains where they were organizing new members in the Deep South, places like Texas, for example.
Hear that, lefties? Hear that, lefties? Too afraid to go into these right-wing neighborhoods? You know, I saw this happen so much. Left-wing canvassing in my neighborhood, that, you know, in the Castro in San Francisco. I was like, what are you guys doing here? You have my vote. You know, get your ass into Orange County. You know, get your ass, you know, further. Just leave San Francisco. Literally, you know, get outside of San Francisco and you'll see. You know, talk to the right wingers.
As a result of that,
The non-voters and the right-wingers.
There was a movement generated by white supremacists in the South connected to the business community who organized around the idea of passing the so-called right-to-work laws to try to stop the labor movement from expanding into the South. Ultimately, when Republicans took control of the United States Congress in 1946, high on their agenda was the passage of a right-to-work bill known as the Taft-Hartley Law.
While the Taft-Hartley Act cut off the rise of unions in the South, labor continued to flourish in northern states, especially in Michigan.
Michigan was the home of the United Auto Workers, and it was the efforts of the United Auto Workers in the 30s and the 40s and beyond that really brought to life the labor movement.
The union density in Michigan, you know, at one point we were 38% union. I mean, you know, so for every 10 jobs, there was almost 4 out of 10 were union. So when I was a kid, it was a big deal. It was, you know, people knew about unions, they understood it.
My father was a firefighter. He became a union president for Local 366. They didn't have medical, they didn't have optical, they didn't have hospitalization. My father fought for those and got them.
And those are huge victories.
He's got Michigan to where they're at.
And then, in 2012, Right to Work came to Michigan.
There was no hearing. There were no public availabilities. They passed the entire thing in one day. The governor signed it behind closed doors because they knew what they were doing was incredibly unpopular. The people of Michigan did not want to see a change in our workplace protections and our union protections.
The intent was really to just weaken unions, and by doing that, you're really weakening the middle class.
Republicans sold Right to Work as a way to attract new jobs and businesses.
This can be good for economic development, for more and better jobs coming to Michigan. We've watched closely what's gone on in Indiana. They've seen many more companies look at Indiana, citing this as one of the factors, the fact they did it back in February, and they could have thousands more jobs in that state because they became a right-to-work state.
This has not been the case.
Instead,
workers have suffered as unions struggle to attract new members.
We were organized.
Good. Maybe their campaign to accelerate the eradication of the Palestinian people can be delayed by their terrible actions over there. And we will be covering Israel coming up, so look forward to that.
We just got done organizing 5 or 6 plants. I mean, we were frankly kicking ass, and then everything changed that day in December of 2012. I mean, it literally changed everything.
When Michigan implements right to work and weakens worker rights in the state, is you see a significant reduction in the average earnings and a significant reduction in the hourly wage in comparison to states that are strong worker rights states. You see a reduction
there's a direct
in the
correlation.
percentage of workers that have employer
Don't let the gaslighters tell you otherwise, okay? Unions make work life better.
paid health care. Poverty levels were
We will be covering that very soon.
in
Deckard.
right-to-work states
Thank you.
like Michigan. Fatality rates, on-the-job fatality rates, were significantly higher in states that pass right-to-work laws.
Thank you for that follow,
But
Deckard.
after 10 years, workers have had enough.
Right now, we get more calls than we have ever had for people wanting to organize.
And thanks to the support of working people, Democrats are back in control of Michigan's government.
Oh, I mean, I think there's no trifecta without labor. And in Michigan, we haven't had a trifecta in 40 years. And in those 40 years, we've been promising, better labor laws, better protections for workers.
We've just got to make sure that we are in a position now with this new power to deliver on the campaign promises that we've made. And
Amen.
one of those, in my instance, is repealing the anti-union right-to-work law.
Gretchen Whitmer, she said that she's going to repeal this, and I believe she will. Do I think that she's going to help the unions? Big time. I hope that we hold her feet to the fire and make sure she does.
Okay. You're going to have to.
Senator Camilleri has introduced the bill to repeal the right-to-work law.
We are seeing a resurgence of union activism, not only here in Michigan, but everywhere in the country, because we've seen the power of what unions can do. They can help you get better wages, they can help you get better health care and better benefits, and folks would prefer that, right? Whether you're somebody who works at Starbucks, or you're potentially having a conversation at Amazon and some of the warehouses, or even places like Chipotle. The economy might look a little different, but the strength and the power of unions stays the same.
Already, the bill is under attack from corporate lobbyists and the right-wing think tanks that they fund.
I mean, so far we've seen organizations that are on the right
to be
wing of
expected.
the right wing, Americans for Prosperity, and a few other groups like that.
Love their
that have
names.
started their anti-campaign.
By all means, let the chamber attack me for helping raise people's wages and restoring their pension funds. If they want to paint me as a bad guy for making sure that working people can retire and have a dignified life, have at it.
Michigan is on its way to repealing right to work. But in states across the country, workers need more bargaining power, not less. If Michigan succeeds, it would be the first state to repeal a right-to-work law in 60 years.
Fuck yeah.
It could set an example for other states hoping to restore power to working people.
Hell yeah. There it is. Great work from More Perfect Union. Honestly, I can't think of any other content creator, content source covering unions quite like these guys have been. They've really been doing a great job. And with more projects like this, we can, get the good word out there. Is every union perfect? No. Right? A lot of unions have their own corruption issues. But that doesn't mean that we need to give up on you. We need to go with the corporate idea of giving up on that and giving all the power to the corporations, and because we've seen how they handle power. It's all about exploitation. It's not about human beings at all. I had to show this because this was just absolutely fucking hilarious. So this woman, she had a news career for 20 years, over 20 years. And she says this.
I'm up with.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Before we know it, she'd have a Snoop Dogg tattoo on her shoulder.
For shizzle, my nizzle.
I'm telling you. Julie, what do you think about that? Huh, she says.
So, she was fired. I don't think she should have been. I think it's a penalization is perfectly fine, right? And an on-air apology is fine. People like this really suck, right? People like this, you just can't have any fun anymore, right? Because everyone's always worried you're going to be offending somebody. But this guy's comment on it was really funny, and I had to show you.
White people in corporate America are always firing other white people for the wrong reasons. Like, nobody cares that somebody's grandma said for shizzle my nizzle. The NAACP wouldn't even pick up the phone for that. They'd be like, we don't even know what for shizzle my nizzle means. Call Snoop. All these Fox News white supremacists, and you get mad at somebody's grandma who said a Snoop lyric wrong. Like, we don't care.
It's
White
so true.
grandmas can't rap. Surprise!
It's so true. I mean, the gaslighting and trial balloons and what's the word I'm looking for here? what is the word I'm looking for, when they're using racist, they're implying racism while not being racist themselves. Oh, what is it? It's right on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me. But anyway, we don't do anything about that. We don't do anything about the race baiting coming from Fox News. We just, we just fire these. Yeah, I think because this isn't as bad as that. Remember that Imus character who said nappy headed something, right? He called these women in basketball like nappy headed, and there was a big old controversy over that. That was justified because Don Imus, right? Because there was legitimate hatred, right? There was like a legitimate disrespect. This woman just doesn't even know what the fuck is going on. And I think this guy has the right point. Don Imus, yeah. Oh, weird. This is interesting. WLBT morning anchor. Spitting it out, buddy. WLBT morning anchor Barbie Bassett has apologized for an offensive comment she made on Friday at the Jackson, Mississippi NBC affiliate. During a live shot on Friday, Bassett referred to Carmen Poe's grandmother as her grandmammy, which was a term slaves used for their grandmothers. Poe is African American. On Monday, the station says she had a meaningful internal discussions about the situation. Bassett apologized, saying, "I now understand how my comment has been insensitive and hurtful, and I've apologized." I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't. She seems kind of harmless. Just seems kind of oblivious. I don't think she's a racist, right? I don't. Saying white grandmas can't rap is anti-white racism. Snoop Dogg is going to have his own brand of gourmet coffee. That's awesome, I guess. So you want to see real racism that is often ignored, and this time it almost was ignored, but because of the anger of the crowd, it wasn't ignored. So watch this interaction. It's very interesting. A black man spoke at a school board meeting, and on his way back to his seat, this woman in the crowd tells him if he doesn't like it here, to go back to where he came from. When he reacted, the board removed him from the building. The crowd wasn't having it. So this woman shouts some racism at this guy, and then the cops are about ready to remove the black guy, which is something we see quite a bit. We do see this. This is not the first time I've seen something like this.
Let's go back a little bit.
Oh, this will give you hope. Chad Mary. Looney left. Looney left. Oh, uncomfortable. She looks.
So at tonight's special board meeting, this gentleman, Dion, had gone up to the podium and he made a statement. And as he was walking back to his seat from the podium, this woman decided to tell him that if he didn't like it here, he could go back where he came from, or go back to his country, something like that. Whatever it was completely inappropriate. And he, rightly so, reacted. And so the president of the school board removed him from the meeting. Mm-hmm. So yes, Yes, what you're seeing there is him being escorted out by the sheriff's department, and that would be my voice you're hearing hollering in it. And while the president of the board, Kay, did not determine that the woman needed to leave, the head of security did.
Yeah. So he broke the rules. He broke the rules,
Couldn't
but
happen
so
to
did
a
she.
nicer lady, huh? This is Temecula.
Yeah, I mean, it really is shocking to me that I'm going to use in this day and age argument, but honestly, in 2023, a go back to where you came from argument to a black person who was born and raised in the United States, it's disgusting. Go back to where you came. I mean, look, this goblin woman is telling people to go back to where they came from. How about she goes back to motherfucking Mars, dude? Where the fuck did she come from? She looks like one of those putty people from Star Trek Voyager, man. She looks like her face had 700 injections of Botox that day. Go back to where he came from. I think it's time for you to go back to your mole people or wherever the fuck you emerged from. You look like an aborted pod person. I find that a little ironic. This was interesting. Had a big blowout with one of our, ex-viewers and members of the Discord about Bernie Sanders. And I just found the timing of this to be rather interesting because, a lot of the argument was about the effectiveness of Elizabeth Warren and her attack on Bernie Sanders and, how she's just a careerist who really didn't even get anything out of destroying this progressive momentum, this fledgling progressive movement. She really didn't get anything out of it. And her precious Consumer Protection Bureau continues to get chipped away by the left and right administrations. She doesn't give a shit. Oh, buddy. Spitting it out, bud. He keeps spitting out his pacifier, and then he's like, mad. He's like, where's my pacifier? But anyway, this was interesting. I need to defend Botox. You mean fillers. Yes, fillers. Thank you, Chad Mary. Actually, that's a correct. Yeah, because she's filled with fillers. Maybe it's not Botox. Couldn't find the word. Good to go, honey? Yeah. All right. Here we go. 1 second, folks. Here, I'll play this video.
Well, I haven't had the opportunity to check out Bernie Sanders' new book, but an excerpt that somebody posted online makes me want to read it, although reluctantly so. It's more for science reasons, if you will, because it kind of is reopening old wounds, and it's making me remember why I was so frustrated with one so-called progressive politician in particular. So in this particular portion of the book, Bernie Sanders is going to recall the events of Bloody Tuesday. Now, if you don't remember what Bloody Tuesday was, that was the day when the moderates in the Democratic Party's 2020 primary dropped out and they coalesced around Biden, while Elizabeth Warren refused to drop out and endorse Bernie Sanders. She ended up coming in third in her own home state, and if she dropped out, things could be very different. Although I won't pin blame entirely on her. I think there are other issues at play. And also, it's the fault of Bernie Sanders, too, for losing. But this is what he said about this. He's not necessarily speaking about his feelings. He's just kind of running back in a very matter-of-fact way what happened. He writes, two of the leading moderate Democrats in the race, Pete Buttigieg and Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, abruptly canceled their candidacies and endorsed Biden. Both flew to Texas, the most hotly contested of the primary states, to appear with the former vice president. They were joined by another former candidate, Texan Beto O'Rourke, in a highly choreographed show of support. The establishment had succeeded in uniting in support of Biden the candidates who had been dividing up the moderate vote. Meanwhile, the liberal and progressive vote continued to be divided between Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and myself. Despite poor showings in Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina, Warren chose to stay in the race. I was closer to her on the issues than any other candidate, but at a point where her endorsement could have been significant in a number of Super Tuesday states, she chose not to give it. Now he goes on to talk about how, well, despite that, we still won California, and that's really all he says about the matter. But the subtext is Elizabeth Warren didn't just fuck me over. She fucked over the entire progressive movement for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
And that, my
She got
friends,
nothing out of it.
is one of the main reasons why I will never trust Elizabeth Warren again. I'm not going to be a hack. I will give her credit where it's
Yeah. So he goes on, right, in the details there. I just wanted to show this. If you want to watch the rest of this segment from the Humanist Report, I highly recommend it. Mike Figurino does good work. Got to respect his hustle. Definitely check him out, like and subscribe. But yeah, I just found it interesting that literally, you know, had someone in the Discord defending Elizabeth Warren and being like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Bernie Sanders, just a couple days after that argument, Bernie Sanders in his book, oh, she didn't just destroy me. She destroyed the entire progressive movement. Frightening shit. Frightening shit happening with China and this military buildup. But here we go. South Korean military footage of joint live fire drills conducted this week by the U.S. and South Korean air forces. Dog whistle. That's the way. That's dog whistle. When you're trying to imply racism without using racist language, you are doing something called dog whistling. Dog whistling. Yeah, Warren for president. Yeah, right. That's exactly the argument that we hear from loser neoliberal Democrats who are like, yeah, Warren with Pete Buttigieg as vice president. The people that haven't done anything for us, that have held back progressivism, that have told us moderation in the face of fascism. Yeah, no. We need to depose these people. We need to challenge them, primary them, replace them with progressives wherever we can. Yeah. Native American. She's a liar. I think you just called me a liar, Bernie. No, she does not. I mean, to be fair to Warren, who doesn't deserve it, is she better than some neoliberals and your average Republican? Yeah, but the fact is that progressives are allowing that lesser of two evils argument to pervade all of politics, and it's basically made the Progressive Party totally irrelevant. The Progressive Party has no leverage. We got the Squad, and the Squad is compromised. Fuck out of here, bitch. I thought you were making fun of me. I thought you were like, dog, you're so dumb, dog. Okay, we're just looking at planes. All the 5 to 10-year-olds in my audience are really loving this segment. Yeah, haters like that just come in here and they want to be toxic, they can get fucked. They can get banned immediately. I have no time for that. I literally have no time for that shit. Anyway, South Korean military footage of a joint live fire drills conducted this week by the U.S. and South Korean air forces. I'm trapped between two realities, okay? I'm trapped between two realities, folks, when it comes to this kind of shit, okay? Let me just mute this and play it in the background. But I'm trapped between two unfortunate realities, okay? I'm trapped between the reality that the United States is an empire that is interested in propagating its own interests across the world. Maybe it's not interested in planting its flag specifically in every country, but it is interested in having influence over every country in the world. It is a kind of global dominance that the United States is aspiring to. But I'm also conflicted with the fact that China is not a friendly empire, is interested in basically usurping the United States and going harder than the United States. You know, do I think that China wants to put its flag on every country? No. Like some evil empire? No. Of course not. But the fact is that China would really, really, really prefer to have, you know, their currency be the reserve currency. They would like to influence the world as well. And I guess it's the devil. I guess it's the devil I know. I would rather deal with the United. I don't want to see a scenario where nothing changes really, except China takes over as the dominant empire of the world. I would like to see a new reality, a third way, maybe. And the fact is that the power of the United States military is the only thing holding back China from taking Taiwan. China has expressed interest over and over and over again. I mean, they have the audacity to not even consider it insulting to call Taiwan a country, right? They're like, no, it's not, that's not a country. That's part of China. You're talking about China over there. I'm insulted. So they have the audacity to be insulted by that. Telefo, what is this third way that China is proposing? Because what they're saying is that Taiwan is ours, and we're basically going to treat it like Hong Kong until we've fully assimilated. Yeah, I know there's some confusion about, you know, the origins of Taiwan's independence. Fact is, though, is that the international community has accepted Taiwan's independence, and Taiwan itself, the people of Taiwan, want independence from China. Don't those people deserve their own autonomy separate from China? China doesn't get to look through the rule, you know, the history books and say, well, at one time we had conquered this, and that's kind of what Russia is doing. You know? Well, if you're not going to pay attention to what I'm saying, I don't have time to get hung up on an argument. Taiwan deserves independence. China has expressed its interests in taking Taiwan for its own. If the United States were doing this, I would disagree with it. You know, if the shoe was on the other foot and it was the United States trying to say, I mean, they're kind of doing that with Palestine, right? And I vociferously disagree with it. I'm not getting into an argument about, I mean, you're really getting in the weeds, man. Taiwan deserves independence, period. I'm not getting into an argument about that. If you don't like that, leave. Taiwan deserves independence. And frankly, China doesn't have any right to just come in and say it's ours. I found this interesting. Father of Parkland victim arrested after disrupting house hearing. And this is the father of a child who was, killed. One of his children got killed in the Parkland massacre. And he's probably done a lot of thinking about what can we do to fix this issue. You know, if there was one thing that people were willing to listen to me on, if there was one thing that people, you know, could take from me and my experience, what could I teach them to do to change things? And I think just fucking vote is what he's come up with. And he's not totally incorrect. If there's if you don't want to pay attention to politics whatsoever, but you still vote, even if it's incorrect, that's great. Great. That's great. Taiwan deserves independence. Telephoto. You don't like that? Fuck off. You know? China doesn't have the right. Hong Kong deserves independence, but I do think that Hong Kong is more muddy, because I did see evidence of right-wing astroturfing of the Hong Kong independence movement. China is staunchly against democracy. Therefore, China is not my friend. The Chinese government, not Chinese people. I married a Chinese woman. Love Chinese people. But the Chinese government is not my friend. All right, it's everyone's favorite portion of the show. Mass shooting update. All right. Today in massacre news, 144 U.S. mass shootings in 2023. 5,279 mass shootings since 2013. And a whopping 0 days since the last mass shooting. Over there in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, no one dead but 5 injured. It's like we got a bad shooter. Preliminary gunman Tyrone Conyers. Over there in Steele, Missouri, Montana, MO. 0 dead and 4 injured. Preliminary gunman unknown. Over there in Philadelphia, PA, 2 dead and 2 injured. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, no. God, I don't know anything. Philadelphia, PA. Yeah, Philly. City of Philadelphia. Inside. Wow. I'm tripping out here. Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm totally tripping out. Over there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 2 dead and 2 injured. Gunman unknown. Over there in Macomb, Illinois, 1 dead, 10 injured. I just had a total brain fart. Gunman unknown. 7 of the victims, including 1 killed, were university students. Wow. So a school shooting. Did anyone hear about the school shooting in the news? 7 victims shot up at a school in Macomb, Illinois. Did anyone hear about it? I'm gonna assume no. Yeah. School shooting. Gunman unknown. 7 victims. 1 were killed. University students. 10 injured. Totally normalized. It's totally normalized. Probably the scariest moment of their lives. The news cameras aren't even showing up anymore. CNN's too busy. Shreveport, Texas Avenue, LA. Texas Avenue, LA. Shreveport, Texas Avenue. Interesting. 1 dead, 5 injured. Gunman unknown. 1 confirmed report of 1 fatality. There you go, folks. If you don't like the way that I cover mass shootings, maybe we should change something? I don't know. Fact is that this is totally normalized. We didn't even hear about the school shooting that happened today. Or yesterday. Didn't they have their bulletproof blankets? Maybe they had the bulletproof chambers where they pulled out the chambers. Getting so used to the carnage, they don't report it. They don't even bother. They don't even bother. Oh, it was a house party.
Good evening. We start tonight with an update to breaking news we first brought you earlier today on WGEM.com. Community members in Macomb are grieving tonight after a shooting killed 1 person and injured 10 others. It happened in the 500th block of North Johnson Street early this morning. WGEM's Claire Edlund was on scene earlier today. She joins us in the studio with those latest details. Claire.
Blake, police say this shooting is an isolated incident and there is no risk to the public.
Didn't we do this? I'm getting deja vu. What, didn't the last news report for the last mass shooting that we covered say that it was an isolated incident? Welcome back, Lion Cut.
They say they are still working to find those responsible and bring them to justice.
This is the sight that greeted neighbors around the 500th block of North Johnson Street this morning. Police officers, flashing lights, and crime scene tape.
It's just bizarre, and the world's turned into a scary place.
They say it happened just before 2 a.m., resulting from...
I keep voting for violent right-wingers that, and they keep making my life worse.
From a fight at an off-campus house party.
It's believed the altercation began and then gunfire erupted.
Police say 1 person died at the scene. 10 others were injured, many with superficial gunshot wounds.
6 of the injured were Western Illinois University students. We're not releasing the names of the injured parties at this time.
Interim Police Chief Jeff Hamer says the deceased is not a WIU student. He says the wounded were taken to McDonough District Hospital, where some were transferred to Area Level 1 trauma centers. In a statement, WIU President Guiyu Wong says he is, quote, heartbroken, shocked, and saddened to learn of the senseless act of gun violence.
I mean, the thing, Kem Goblin, is that, you know, the bulletproof stuff, like these things happen so quickly. I've, you know, in the Discord, I've shown footage of a bar shooting, you know, and it's like, it literally within 5 seconds, there's like 3 or 4 dead people on the ground, you know, and this is probably the same thing. It was probably some altercation that, you know, it was probably a minute, 30 seconds or a minute, and then all this carnage committed. And that's why we need to do something. One, of course, about mental health. The left and the right, you know, the right, you know, uses mental health disingenuously. They have no plans to do anything about it. But the left needs to acknowledge the mental health reality because it shows their failures as well. That's why they try to avoid it. Because the second thing we need to do is, you know, restrictions on gun ownership, restrictions on certain kinds of guns, magazine and clips, you know, of various kinds, you know, certain capacities being reduced. These things are effective. But they won't be as effective if we don't do something about the nihilism that people have embraced. You know, this idea that, fuck it, I don't care. I'll get into a gunfight. The despair needs the economic, you know, situation needs to be addressed. There's so many things that need to be addressed outside of simply gun ownership.
He says his thoughts are with all of the students, families, and campus community members who are affected by this incident.
Thoughts and prayers.
The university has canceled all athletic events this weekend, along with several other events.
Why?
Macomb residents are also speaking out.
It's just another fucking Tuesday. Why? Why even bother? Who cares?
Mark Lipkaman says he lives a block from the scene.
It's more normal than not these days.
Hamer would not say if police have any suspects. He says their investigation is ongoing and involves a number of agencies, including Macomb Police, McDonough County Sheriff's Office, Illinois State Police, WIU's Office of Public Safety, Hancock County Sheriff's Office, and more.
And police say they are looking for anyone with photos, videos, or information about the incident. They say if that's you, call Macomb Area Crime Stoppers at 309.
Yeah, whatever. Like the cops give a shit. Most of them vote right wing. Most of them vote to support gun ownership. The cops. All right, before I cut off YouTube, let's go ahead and do the good news. Little palate cleanser here. It's so depressing to cover the mass shooting news, but I refuse to allow the mass shootings to become normalized. We're just cool with this now. We're just cool with this now. Every fucking day, a new massacre. A new tragedy, and we're gonna allow the Rand Pauls of the world, the fucking psychopaths on the right wing, to make some glib, half-hearted, half-assed argument, and then that's it. Our kids are now just permanently in danger because the left wing is just incapable of presenting a good argument and courageous enough to introduce legislation. We're just stuck because the neoliberals are cowards. That's it, huh? Well, some people have accepted that as normal. I refuse to. Until something fucking gets done, you can expect to see the mass shooting update. But here's some good news. New Orleans East teens make impossible mathematical discovery unproven for 2,000 years. These teenagers, check them out. 2,000-year-old mathematical impossible equation. They figured it out.
All right, so we're going to start this next story a little bit differently. Welcome to my game show, guys.
Oh, no. Is this what the pop quiz is?
We're having a pop quiz.
For shizzle my nizzle.
Maybe nervous.
Oh, wait, I can't say that.
Okay.
All right,
sorry,
so
I'm sorry, Twitch. Whoa, I'm sorry. Whoa, dude. Whoa. Can't say that. Not even joking. I'm sorry, Twitch. I didn't mean to do that. Don't fire me.
Pythagorean theorem.
Okay, yes.
Pretty basic concept.
Right.
Can you
say it.
Tell me what shape it describes. You should know this. Don't give me that face. I know you know. Come on, put on your flashcard.
He's a scientist.
Yeah, but you took high school level geometry. I know
Way to call her the fuck out, man. This is gonna be a fun argument off screen.
I failed high school geometry. What do you mean?
Can you? Oh.
See, it's the area of A
Wow.
to B
Don't
is
show
going
off.
to equal C.
Don't show off.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say for a bonus point, do you know the theorem?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Cerise.
What did you draw?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Good thing
no
IDK
idea.
hadn't been in
She's got a good sense of humor.
school.
I am sorry. I'm not the science or math person.
There are some very smart girls who do
Yes.
know.
Far smarter than us.
Yes.
For 2,000 years, no one's really been able to prove the Pythagorean theorem using trigonometry, and now 2 high school students from New Orleans East think that they have cracked it. Sam Lindstrom starts.
I'm trying to prove it.
It takes a special kind of student to outsmart 2,000 years of mathematicians. At St. Mary's Academy, they have 2.
It's an unparalleled feeling, honestly, because there's just nothing like it, being able to do something that people don't think that young people can do.
Kelsey Johnson and Nakia Jackson just gave a presentation at the American Mathematical Society's annual Southeastern Conference. They say they've proven that Pythagoras' theorem can be proved without circular trigonometry, and it might not surprise you to hear that they were the only high schoolers in the room.
You don't see kids like us doing this. It's usually like you have to be an adult to do this.
Now, if you're anything like me, math is not your best subject. So we're both going to do a little refresher on this one. Now, it starts with trigonometry. And trigonometry is based on Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That all sounds familiar, right? Now,
Fuck no, it doesn't. Why do they keep saying this? Why do they keep... everyone's heard of this. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. What?
what they did and that they said couldn't be done is that Pythagorean theorem could not be proved using trigonometry. That is what is known as circular logic. An idea can't prove itself. But what Kelsey and Nakia did is that they were able to prove Pythagoras' theorem without using circular logic, but they did use trigonometry. And if you're wondering how two...
I see. So they had it's like Jeopardy. They had the answer, but they couldn't figure out the question. So the only way they could find the question was through this circular logic. But these kids cracked the code and figured out how you could come to the equation with the right mathematical theory.
High school seniors figure something like this out? Well, it all starts with the teachers who challenge them to do the impossible.
Yeah, like our slogan is no excellence without hard labor, so they definitely push on that.
And we have really great teachers.
And even if you don't understand their math, it's easy to see that with the right push, students can do the impossible. Sam
Man, that's
Winstrom,
great.
Eyewitness News.
And that's so fucking cool.
I would just also like to say,
We got another slide.
Sorry, Mom and Dad, and DeWarren Easton. You did this the best you could.
Oh man, well that is some great news. There you go. That's my U.S. news for today. A lot of bad news, but hey, a little bit of good news at the end as well. Thank you, YouTube. We're gonna go ahead and move on.